Vince and Triple H have a secret list of main roster stars they want to send back to NXT, where nobody's gonna watch them because AEW destroyed NXT in the ratings this week, and a major update on Royal Rumble returns.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk News El Fakador flavor. I am El Fakador Laurie Blake. And it seems like Survivor Series wasn't the end of the interbrand shenanigans for WWE, as wrestling journalist Tom Colohue has said that there are names in the works for a return to NXT. Colohue's sources told him that there is a short list of people from Raw and SmackDown that Vince McMahon and Triple H are discussing about sending to NXT. Now, they've had success in that field recently, sending the likes of Breezango and Finn Balor back, but also livening up the show with the invasion angles in the run-up to Survivor Series. Now, one of the names on this much vaunted secret list is Asuka, who Tom says either wants to visit or be involved in NXT, probably because back there she never took a loss. Now, this seems to be more of a discussion of people dropping into NXT for short programs or pulling double duty across Raw/SmackDown and NXT weekly. Sort of like they belong to one brand, but they occasionally appear on another. You know, not like active members of the roster, sort of like a wild card. Wild card. Kind of rolls off the wild card. I like it. Let's make it a rule. Interestingly, the name most likely to be at the top of this secret list is Kevin Owens, who not only returned to NXT for one night only at TakeOver War Games, but has spoken openly about wanting to go back. On WWE's The Bump, KO opened up about his feelings about returning to the black and gold brand. He also petted a tiny freaking crocodile. What even is The Bump? It's basically Luchasaurus. KO said that it would be okay with him to return to NXT if officials told him to, but he would jump at the chance to go if he were to get a championship opportunity. Because he reckons that viewing NXT as the third WWE brand now has raised the profile of that belt, meaning it is basically a world championship. Now, one thing stopping the move for Owens would be his position on Raw, because he's the recipient of quite a big babyface push at the moment, getting the big babyface angle against e-scooter extraordinaire Seth Rollins is not cool Seth Rollins. Now, it'd be interesting to see how WWE handles this, considering that NXT's ratings have been fluctuating recently, and it's whether they want to send big names back full-time as a band-aid to stop hemorrhaging viewers, or whether they opt for the sort of drop-in, drop-out policy, the wild card thing. But I really think that could be the future. Now, one person who won't be pulling double duty anymore is Chelsea Green, who, despite being signed to NXT for over a year, only made her TV debut this week, becoming the first signee of the Robert Stone brand. And that is after she debuted on Raw and Main Event as well, though I guess, does anybody actually really debut on Main Event? Do you get your Main Event debut? It's kind of like calling the Green Mile a red carpet. Now, Green's appearances on main roster programming wasn't actually considered a legitimate call-up. And the ultimate earwig, Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, said that her appearance on NXT may make her off limits to the main roster for quite a while. Meltzer said that initially Green and live show tag partner / real life friend Deonna Purrazzo were being looked at for either Raw or SmackDown, but Chelsea showing up on NXT may well put a dampener on that. But there is no word on what will happen with Deonna Purrazzo now. Before we hop back in, we'd like to quickly thank Justin. Could you be any better than Matthew Perry for supporting us on Patreon? If you want to be a patron and get a shout out, there's a link in the description down below for you to follow. For those who don't, can I interest you in a sarcastic comment? Now, we've spoken at length about NXT signings and wild cards from the main roster, but what about if it goes the other way? Card wilds. Because surely Raw and SmackDown are still looking for stars to move across. There is still a developmental element to NXT after all. It just is less formalized nowadays. And if you're talking about people who are ready to make the jump and your mouth isn't making the noise Shayna Baszler, then you're doing something wrong. Because the two-time NXT Women's Champion bested both Becky Lynch and Bayley at Survivor Series, is busy mates with Ronda Rousey, and is legitimately one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet right now. Now, Forbes has it that Baszler could be getting moved over to Raw or SmackDown around Rumble time, and that she is a very good bet to be be an entrant in the Rumble match itself. Now, adding some fuel to this fire is the fact that NXT announced a battle royal to determine the #1 contender to Rhea Ripley's title for next week's show, and Baszler was nowhere on the list of entrants. Dave Meltzer had further thoughts, saying, "It's interesting. No Shayna, no Jessamine, no Marina. I mean, it could be Jessamine and Marina, but I'm sure no Shayna, because if there was, she would be mentioned. So I guess that means Shayna's going to be on Raw sooner than later. I always figured. Having Baszler on the main roster would either plug the Ronda Rousey-shaped hole in the women's roster right now, or be a nice way to build anticipation for Rousey's return and get those horsewomen feud senses tingling. Then again, losing stars to the main roster might not be what NXT needs right about meow, because the latest viewing figures are in, and they are like the life of a Victorian orphan. Bleak. Because NXT managed to pull in just 721,000 viewers, a figure which would leave the showrunners thinking, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" More? They can't have any more because AEW's got all of them, almost breaking the million mark at 947,000 viewers. Now, Dynamite's numbers were slightly down from last week's 967K, but the show had a 0.36 in the 18 to 49 demo and was the 6th best on cable for the day. NXT apparently didn't even break the top 50. AEW owner Tony Khan took to Twitter to thank fans for the high ratings, saying, "Thanks to all who made last night's AEW 1-year anniversary episode of Dynamite a rating success. For all of us to keep succeeding, AEW will listen to our fans. I hear your feedback and won't ignore what you want to see from AEW every week. Thank you from the bottom of my heart." And AEW put a lot of promotion behind the anniversary episode, booking big matches with Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, Cody Rhodes, as well as a women's championship match and a final answer on whether Jon Moxley would join the Inner Circle, whereas NXT had pre-advertised a fatal four-way for the #1 contendership to the North American title. Cool. And they also had to bounce back from their end-of-year wrap-up award show episode, which featured mostly packages and repeats, which I don't think will have helped things really. But it's okay, don't despair, little NXT fans, because NXT folk will no doubt be in the Rumble, they'll do awesome stuff, and then everyone's gonna go over to USA on Wednesday nights and they're gonna watch it. Right? Right? Speaking of the Rumble, as ever, there is loads of speculation about who's going to be entering themselves into the match, what legends we're going to see, and who is going to get those lucrative title shots and the opportunity to do their best anime pointing at a big sign hanging in the sky. Now, Tom Colohue had a few updates regarding those rumors, starting with Nia Jax. Because he said that Nia Jax has reportedly been recording backstage video content, most likely documentary stuff for a WWE Network special about her road to recovery. This has obviously led people to speculate that her in-ring return could be imminent, though Colohue does say that he reckons it won't be in time for the Rumble as many believe. He says it's more likely that she will be back in time for WrestleMania and speculated on a women's battle royal spot to reintroduce her to the WWE audience. Here she is, this is Nia. You don't like her, remember? Flipping back over to the Rumble, Colohue had updates regarding Paige and Edge, both of whom have been heavily rumoured to appear in the match. Now, if you remember, it was announced that Paige would make a career-altering decision on WWE backstage this week. Wow, it didn't happen. And when someone says career-altering decision, it usually leads people to believe an in-ring return is on the cards. But this is something that's been denied by Paige herself and her family over the years. Now, Colohue said that the people backstage laughed when he asked them if Paige was actually returning, which you would infer means it's such a ridiculous question because, of course, she's not. Or keeping secrets is funny. Now, similarly, Colohue reckoned that Edge would not be returning either, as he has vehemently denied it, and backstage chatter suggests he won't be. It seems in both these cases that the associated health risks may be too great for either superstar to overcome. And I don't know, is it really worth the risk when they both have good things going on in wrestling adjacent roles? I mean, I say good things. I mean things. Backstage. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, bosh the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, thwack subscribe and enable notifications by donging the bell. Donging Hit those videos over there to see more awesome WrestleTalk content. I've been El Fakador, and that was Lucha.